Hello and welcome to The Wire. I am Tania Roy, and today we have with us Mr. D. Subbarao, former RBI governor, who has authored a new book, Just a Mercenary: Notes from My Life and Career. The book delves into the remarkable journey of Mr. Subbarao, from his humble beginnings to his prominent roles in India's civil service, culminating in his tenure as the governor of the Reserve Bank of India. Firstly, a very warm welcome to you, sir. I would like to start with asking why this title, Just a Mercenary?
Lots of people have asked me that question. I have considered a few other titles and eventually decided on this, Just a Mercenary, for the following reason that as people of this country, as citizens, we are prone to complaining about our country. That there is no opportunity for merit, it's an unequal society, unfair society, it's biased, etc. And I complain too. But when I look back on my career and on my life, I realized that this country has given me lots of opportunities. I went to a Sainik school with a government scholarship. I got an IIT education again with a scholarship. I had the privilege of serving in the IAS, and I had the privilege of becoming the governor of the Reserve Bank towards the end of my career. As I look back on all that, that was because there were still opportunities for merit. So when I go through that, I say, look, I've had so many assignments. I tried to do my best. But what was I driven by? As a mercenary, as I understand, is somebody who goes and fights a war for the salary or income that he gets. He has no commitment to a larger cause. So was I driven by something of a mercenary's mindset, which is that I'm doing my best because I'm getting paid for it, or was I driven by a higher calling? And that is a question that runs in my mind that's reflected in the title.
In the last chapter, in a letter to your mother, you say that you were able to become the governor of RBI because opportunities still exist on the basis of merit. In India, as of now, young Indians who are educated are likely to be unemployed. In fact, a 2016 Mint report said that PhDs are willing to become peons in UP. So, how much change has there been in terms of employment opportunities, especially on the basis of merit? How do you see that now?
I believe there is still opportunities for merit as borne out my experience. There's never been any complaints about the UPSC's administration of the civil service exam, of any bias by way of region, religion, language, or caste, or whatever. But I agree that there's a larger problem of unemployment and joblessness. The economy is growing at a sizzling pace, 8+% year before last, 7.6% last year, 7% or more than that this year, and probably 6.5 to 7% for the next 2 to 3 years. But at the same time, there is joblessness, and that is a question. And the straightforward explanation is that the growth is coming from sectors which are not job intensive, such as IT and finance, etc. But that is not tenable because there's a huge problem, unemployment. You can dispute the numbers, but you can't deny the problem. There are numbers that the number of jobs that we have to create is as much as 90 million to 100 million, because there's about 10 million people joining the labor force every year. We're not even creating half as many jobs. And if agriculture productivity improves as it would want it to, agriculture will actually throw out maybe 50 million people. If female labor force participation rate improves as we want it to, that will add to the labor force. And we have to create maybe 100 million jobs. And these people who are seeking jobs are unskilled or at best semi-skilled. So how does the economy provide jobs for them? That is a big problem. I don't want to deny that that problem is there. But a few who are competent, lucky, fortunate, get into the governments. A few still get into the civil services. And that opportunity is still there.
It seems like privilege matters.
I wouldn't say that. The privilege of opportunity for education matters. But the privilege of birth, I'm not sure it matters so much.
Is there anything, what do you think the new government should focus on to stimulate job growth? Do you think there is any specific sector they should focus on as compared to others?
Uh, the challenge of job creation is so huge and so complex that there is no simple or single solution. The government will have to do a number of things, not just the central government, but even state governments. In the long term, for the long term, we have to improve the quality of education, quality of healthcare, so that people become more productive. Okay, then we need to improve the skill endowment. But one thing, some things in the short term or relative short term, is to focus on the MSME sector because that is job intensive. For every rupee of investment, the MSME sector generates more jobs than the large corporate sector. But for the MSME sector to grow, we need the large corporate sector because MSMEs are part of that chain. So I would say that the government must focus not just on aggregate growth, but on the job intensity of growth and the distribution of the benefits of growth.
So the current government boasts about its schemes. But do you think welfareism and doles such as subsidies and direct income support can these compensate for the lack of quality jobs, stagnant job growth, rural distress, and price rise?
They cannot. They cannot. You need, of course, in a country like ours, in a society like ours, where millions of people struggle for daily livelihood, the government needs to provide safety nets to those people. But that's got to be restricted in part because those handouts or those transfer payments are being financed by borrowing. And we know from common sense that a loan has to repay itself. In other words, a loan has to generate an income stream that repays itself. That is true whether it's a household or a corporate or the government borrowing. If we have a situation where the government is borrowing that money just to make transfer payments, that transfer payments will not result in any additional revenue to the government or any additional growth impetus to the economy, then we have a problem. So as much as I believe that there must be a minimum level of welfare support, safety net support to the most vulnerable, there's got to be limits. And this is certainly no alternative or no substitute for job creation. As Chairman Mao said, it is better to, instead of giving a man a fish every day, it is much better to teach a man how to fish.
There are other important issues as well, such as inflation, the rural distress echoed by FMCG firms. But on a lighter note, during your professional journey, what is that one thing that kept you going despite challenges? Like, do you have any message for youngsters who want to grow further and contribute to the society?
Well, it would be presumptuous on my part to give any message or advice to youngsters who want to contribute to society. Of course, like every parent or every teacher or just a senior citizen, I want to say that youngsters who are on careers must do their best. A career will not be a straight line. There'll be fluctuation, there'll be setbacks, there will be hopes and despair, there'll be success, there'll be setback, they'll make mistakes. That's all par for the course, but they must remain focused on delivering, doing their best, not just for the sake of the salary, but also as a value. Because they're being paid for it, are they contributing to their organization and thereby to society? And the message that I want them to pick up from my story, which I write in my book, is that don't fear doing something because it'll be a failure. Failure is inevitable in every career. And it is better to face failure and learn from it than not attempting. Okay? A success comes from attempting and failing rather than not attempting at all. I want to tell youngsters that I was not the best example, but they can learn from my story. Okay, they can learn from my mistakes. And the story I want to relate is about my experience as officer on special duty for Arak bottling during the NTR regime. NTR was our chief minister in the mid-1980s. And he was aghast when he came in about the number of people who were dying because they were consuming adulterated liquor. And he decided that this is not tenable, because people are succumbing to drinking, they're dying of because of drinking adulterated liquor, and lives and livelihoods are being lost. So the solution was that the government must set up bottling plants for liquor in every district of the state. And I was appointed as the officer on special duty for implementing that project. My first reaction was, why me? There are 250 IAS officers in the state. Why did they have to pick on me? I did not show any special flair or talent for implementing projects, much less for implementing a bottling project, much less a liquor bottling project. And you ask IAS officers, in fact, when civil service results come, you people in the media interview them, and why do you want to join the IAS? And they all say, we want to serve society, we want to change the world. And I said, is this the way I want to serve society? Is this the way I want to change the world, bottling liquor? And you go to a wedding in a family, or you go to a family gathering and people ask you, what are you doing? And you say, I'm bottling liquor. You join the IAS to change society, and this is what you're doing. So I was dejected, angry, frustrated when I was posted. But then the most important comment thing I want to say in this story is that I was scared that I would fail. Because this had to be done in 9 months. I had no experience. And can I really do this? I might fail. I was being set up for failure. After brooding for 3 days, I decided that it is better to try and fail than failing without trying at all. So I went back, dived into the job. I did that with passion and, I hope, professionalism. And I had the project done 3 days before the deadline. That was hugely fulfilling for me and tremendous confidence booster, not just at that time, but for my entire career. And that is an instance where I feared failure.
That's a very interesting answer. So success means different things for different people. How do you define success?
Okay, I'll tell you what is not success. Okay? Yes. Success is not, as I said before, not having any failure. Failures along the way are part of achieving success. So failures are stepping stones to success. Success, of course, is measured by your career progression, whether you've reached the top, whether you're delivered on the results that you were enjoined to. Those are all measures of success, whether you're getting ahead of your peers, whether you had accelerated promotion, whether you had encouragement, whether you had merit certificates, whether you had incentives given to you. Those are all measures of success. But the more valuable measure of success is a question that you ask your own conscience. That have I performed this job to the best of my ability? Have I fallen short anywhere? And how do I improve myself? That, I think, is, in my view, a measure of success, or a concept of success.
Thank you for answering all these questions, and this was a really interesting interview.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you very much for the interview.
द वायर के और वीडियोस देखने के लिए सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन पर क्लिक करें। स्वतंत्र पत्रकारिता की आर्थिक मदद करने के लिए डिस्क्रिप्शन में दिए गए लिंक पर जाएं और अपनी राशि चुनें।